Harris.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up. I love his dancing, for one.
Yes.
But God, and then another thing I was going to point out too, and this is connected with Ed Harris, is just the deaths in this are just, again, it's Romero we're talking about, Stephen King we're talking about. They can come up with some creative deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Harris's death in particular, they don't show his head getting crushed, right? But man, does he sell it! Like his eyes just bulge as he's underneath that gravestone as it moves closer and closer to the edge. It's a perfect movie, perfect horror kill that you don't even see on screen. It's just sold with that reaction, and I guess I think you
sound
do
effects,
the sound effects. Exactly, yeah. The
yeah,
squish.
like oh my god, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It works.
So. Yeah, and the I don't know about you guys, but I come across an open bottle of booze in a graveyard. I'm not drinking it. That's just say no. Just say no. So, excellent. So, it's gonna be interesting talking about this type of film because they're all very short and they're all like very quick to go through. So, talking about each of them individually, I don't think we'll get too in depth on them. But is there anything else we want to talk about for Father's Day?
Well, I agree with Marcel. I think this was a good one to start with. Because it kind of sets the tone. It does feel like a classic. I mean, even if you don't know like classic EC comics or kind of pulpy these comics, although they establish them, I guess, a little bit off the top of the prologue, right? This captures that perfectly and kind of tells you what kind of movie you're in store for. So I think of all these, I definitely agree with their choice to show this one first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I agree. So then we move along. Our second one is The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, and immediately when I see this one, I think of The Blob. So I don't know. Have you seen the original Blob, Zach?
Yeah.
Marcelo, I'm sure you have.
Yes, I've seen. I'm a big fan of both Blobs. The 50s one and the 80s one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really like the original, and one of the things that I really like about the original is the 40-year-old, 16-year-old Steve McQueen. Very effective. Yes. But yeah, so we got Stephen King acting in this. So what do you think, Marcelo, of Stephen King as an actor and playing this role?
Okay.
Because anything we see him in, he's really just Stephen King.
Yeah. What a varied acting career he has, Stephen King. I mean, his turn in It Chapter 2, wow, blew me away.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, sorry to spoil it, but yes.
He cameos in a lot of his movies, Brandon. I'm sure.
Yeah, he does. But I hope you're all catching the sarcastic tone in my voice.
Yes,
a big reason why I think in the past I didn't like Creepshow 1 as much as Creepshow 2 is because of this segment.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I said earlier, today's viewing sort of changed things for me. It used to be before that I was just annoyed by this segment, this King segment. Mostly due to King's acting.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, much like the alien grass that grows on Stephen King, like it's grown on me. I like this segment now. It's not as grating as I think it used to be for me. Maybe it's because, again, like watching it today, in like my preferred viewing, like on my TV, this new restoration of this movie, it looks amazing, and yeah, I appreciate the craft. It's a bit more terrifying now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That ending kind of rattles me. Maybe
man.
more now than it has before.
Dark as hell.
It is dark, but I always just took it as like too playful. Those flashbacks, even those not flashbacks, those like dream sequences within this one, maybe just seem out of place for me still.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's still horrifying by the end though. That gunshot to the head, oof, yeah, chilling. So yeah, I used to be like down on this for sure, but now, yeah, I appreciate it. I like it more.
Have you ever seen Stephen King in an acting role before, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him cameo, like he's in like the Langoliers and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, it's like, hey, look, he's in his own stuff. Good for you, Stephen King. Like, obviously, he was like, hey, I wrote this. I want to be in it. Good for him. This is, if I wasn't so completely grossed out and disgusted by they're creeping up on you, this would be my least favorite one because I like, what even is it? I just like you're saying, Marcel, like these dream sequences, like they feel like something out of like Little Shop of Horrors, which is fine, but then they go back to just this dopey guy living by himself on this farm, and it's just great. Any kind of body horror stuff freaks me out because like something that's happening to you, is always like some like turning into a plant is like a horrifying thing. So that's disgusting, but it's also kind of goofy, and then ending in a Plant Man committing suicide, right? It's just like I don't know what to make of it, and I didn't really care for it, to be honest.
Yeah, and I should say that it's my least favorite of the movie and of both movies. So this is my least favorite segment of both movies. And I think another problem I have with it is that in every other segment, the people who get it, the people who are killed by these monsters, they, to varying degrees, they deserve it. I don't know what Jordy Verrill did to deserve this, other than be like a yokel. But I love that they're all, besides this one, like morality tales, like people choosing the wrong side and being a bit evil and then paying for it. Again, what did Jordy Verrill do? Justice for Jordy Verrill. I don't get it.
Justice for
What
Jordy.
did Ed Harris do?
Well, he's just a rich kid goof. I think he deserved it more.
He didn't turn down that music fast enough,
Yeah.
So I like this one a lot. Like Stephen King kind of always seems to have a character like this in his works, and like the Verrill name is a name that pops up in a lot of his works, right? This isn't the first time that you've heard it. If you know it, what in a lot of his books and short stories, and for me, I've always liked this one a lot. Because of the contrast between the silliness of the character and the silliness of his daydreams and the shocking ending to this. Like this ending to me is the most horrifying ending in all of them, right? And it's just like, oh my goodness, just because he's like the way that his voice is like, please God, let my luck be in, like, and he's just like, he's got that really crazy that crazy voice, and probably because this is like the first time that I would have seen a suicide in a movie, right?
Wow.
And normally as well, they like show it off screen and stuff like this, but because he's a plant, it like just they show it full out, right? So I think that's the other reason why it's always had such an impact on me, because again, I would have been a fairly young teenager. I'm pretty sure I was under 15 when I saw this movie the first time, right? On video, so. I don't know. I've always liked this one a lot, and I like Stephen King's campy acting in this one, and I think it's the role out of all of them that it his acting style fits the best. Well, maybe Creepshow too, but we'll talk about that.
I agree. I see what you're saying with that, Brandon. I would agree. With the Stephen King acting.
Having thought about it more just now while we're recording this, I just realized maybe Jordy's problem, the thing that got him killed, is greed. There you go. He wanted to sell this rock for money, so his greed got him in. Grass is green. Yeah, it's all connected.
There it is. I love that. Find that thematic narrative through line.
I'm finding it now.
Yes. Excellent. Now, what's the name of the next one here? The next one's the Tide one, right?
Something to tide you over.
Something to
you
tide
get it?
you over. I do get it.
Good,
yes, it's a pun. So I didn't really make that connection to The Ledge because I also love Cat's Eye. Cat's Eye is another fantastic film. All three of them are really, really great. But I don't quite see it as being really the same as The Ledge. It's quite different than The Ledge because in The Ledge, there's a guy who's having an affair with a rich guy's wife, and he says, if you can walk all the way around this building, you can have like a bunch of money and my wife, right? So it's different in that he has to do something that the rich guy doesn't think he can accomplish. So it's a little bit different in that way, but I guess also the disconnect of being up on a tower in Las Vegas versus being buried in the sand.
Yeah.
Yes, in my headcanon, this takes place in the same town as Jaws.
Okay.
Chief Brody's just having a nap right now. So.
Yes, very good. So what did you think of Leslie Nielson and Ted Danson? Because they're really the two leads, if there were, as it were.
I mean, I was just thinking, again, reevaluating this movie today. It's like today and this podcast which you have me on, it was the perfect time for me to rewatch this movie. Because I just spent a crazy Thursday night last week watching the finale. No, was it Thursday? Whatever.
The Good Place. Yes.
Yeah, The Good Place. whatever day it was.
Me too. Yes.
Yes, I watched the finale of The Good Place. No spoilers,
right?
But I was brought to tears by the end.
It was brilliant. Yeah,
I loved it. And then that same night, I turned over. It was Friday night. I remember now. I turned over to HBO, and they had the new episode of Curb on there, and I saw like some Ted Danson in there too. So two completely different Ted Dansons. Both being he's still amazing in 2020, and then rewatching this, he is so multifaceted. He's an amazing actor. He's funny, and he's also terrifying in this. Like not terrifying. He can sell being terrified. He can sell the being the dramatic actor.
Yeah.
Because he's just that good. So yeah, seeing a young Ted Danson in this, so good. And Leslie Nielsen, God rest his soul. I've always loved him. I mean, Airplane, Naked Gun, some of my favorite movies of all time. And I haven't, this may be the only Nielsen movie I've seen where he plays it serious. I haven't seen, because he's also in Forbidden Planet, right?
Yes.
I haven't seen that. I need to see it. And I haven't seen any of his other serious acting work. But yeah, he is so damn good in this. And just that thought of him having that fart machine just in hand whenever he needs it, while being menacing, pointing the gun at Ted Danson, really just playing that villain. I loved him in it. I loved him.
I've seen Forbidden Planet, but I don't know anything else he's been in that's been a serious role other than this. So, watching Forbidden Planet, it's almost difficult because I know him so well from the comedic films he's been in. But I think that this is probably his best serious role that I've seen for sure.
Of the two.
Of those two, yes.
Of those two.
Yeah, no, I mean, you totally buy it, right? I mean, like, he's this megalomaniac, guy with an axe to grind, and he's like, oh, I told you you'd see her again. You did. Okay, promise fulfilled. See you later. You're going to die now. I'm like, wow, this guy is cold. He has no remorse. He's cold-blooded about this. And you're kind of like, well, but he's kind of charming, too. So you're like, I kind of, not that I'm rooting for him, but I enjoy seeing what he's doing. But these people didn't deserve this, right? Even though they're having an affair, they deserve to be drowned to death in the tide, being buried in sand. It's horrible. So I mean, he does get a comeuppance in the end by the zombies. That's where this one kind of fell apart for me. Oh, look, we're zombies running around your house. If they had done it more tastefully and more in shadow and sound, and I don't know, because they went full gruesome in Father's Day. I'm like, okay, but this was I don't know, just kind of budget TV looking zombies. I thought so. I was not terrified of these monsters that showed up, and I think if there's a weak point to this one, that would be it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. And if I remember correctly, I think even Savini said that he wasn't maybe particularly happy with the effects in this one as he was in the other ones. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're right on the money there, Zach, about the effects on this. But yeah, I mean, the ending not my favorite, but yeah, what keeps this for me as being one of the better horror anthology segments is, again, the performances. One thing I caught this time was just Nielsen's performance when he's watching on the monitor Danson and the wife being drowned, and it's he's playing
I'm not enjoying this as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, there's that moment, you see in his eyes where he's like, "Oh, damn it! Maybe I should not have done this. Maybe he's going too far." But then he turns again. He's saying, "I hope you can hold your breath." He plays like 3 levels there in all in a matter of seconds, just in his eyes. Oh, he's a brilliant performer.
I love the aspect of his character that he's so into technology, and he's like, you should clean your heads on your VCR, and this is good quality picture here, and he's runs that cable out to the beach so that he can watch it and stuff. I just think it's a really interesting character trait for a short film like this, right? That you get some really interesting character development.
He has
got
some
all
quirks
those
to him.
VHS tapes.
Yeah. He's like, has the maid been going through my tapes again? It's amusing, even though he's a horrible, horrible person in this and has a horrible, horrible fate. So, and I guess that one shot of Ted Danson being drowned, I was kind of like, oh, wow. I was just kind of more visceral because it's a guy underwater, clearly who can't breathe for a minute. You're ooh, horrible.
Yeah. Savini was talking about that effect. Yeah, they actually had Danson in a tank, and all that lighting was practical, and he was actually holding his breath. And Savini, he says secretly, was holding a sledgehammer close by,
Just
and
in
was
case.
ready. Yeah, was ready to just destroy that tank in case something bad had happened to Danson. So yeah, he had Savini likes to think ahead.
See, today that'd be all CGI. You know,